Spawning up in the top left-hand position as the red Protoss player, it is none other than ATN's Socke. And his opponent up in the top right, the blue Zerg, representing XMG, it is SaltTheWound. Frost is a big map, let's not hide that, but in these spawn positions it seems oh so much smaller. The important thing for both these players to realise is that they're in the cross spawn position. Socke going to be going for a Forge Fast expansion on this map, which is very viable due to this very small entrance into the natural base. Now, the reason it's important for Salt to work out where Zocke's spawning is because then basically he needs to know which third stake. He can't expand down here towards his opponent. He needs to take this third base, which means that going hatch pool may be less likely. Big thing to keep a good eye on. So yeah, when we're going to be getting things going probably a bit differently though for Salt, because game number 1 didn't really work out nicely for him, and the reason it didn't work out too well is simply because he committed an awful lot to getting a huge economy going and didn't get a roach run. He was trying to go Ling Hydra, but just couldn't get the Hydras out in time to defend against what was really just a big gateway shove and a follow-on with some Immortals. And Socke just played it perfectly, didn't overcommit, didn't rush in, prevented Speedlings from getting us around on his, well, basically getting us around on his gateway forces, and therefore Socke was able to move in and just take down the hatchery pretty convincingly and just overpower the Zerg in that situation. Now, so far, we've got a similar build to last game from Salt. He's busy getting down his hatchery, and he's about to go and take his third before this Overlord has seen where the Protoss player is spawning, and therefore this is not the ideal position to secure this third base, and I think it's going to get taken before the Overlord gets any information, which is a little bit frustrating because you really don't want to be expanding towards your opponent, but it's gone down. And the reason you don't want to be expanding towards your opponent here is simply because this cliff area is also really difficult to deal with. You've got this back entrance through, as well as down the south way. There's a lot of ways for a Protoss army to come in and start picking away at this hatch, picking away at the workers on the mineral line. But now, we do see that Salt has identified where Socke is spawning, knows it's a Forge Fast expansion, and just knows generally all the timings that came down. Back at home, the pool coming down, the gas was once again taken before the spawning pool was started, allowing a Zergling speed upgrade to get begun a little bit quicker than it otherwise would have been. And well, everything's going well. Remember, these players have qualified through a series of online tournaments to be the top 8 German players, and they are all competing for a share of a lot of prize money. First place of the ESL Pro Series is 3,000 euros, so definitely a lot on the line. These are WCS style groups, so this is game 1. Game 2 will be coming up next, then it will be the winners play, then the losers play, then the decider match. Top 2 of the group advance to the playoffs. There's only 2 groups as well, so a lot of competition is going to be coming down through here. Cybercore getting started up here by Socke at the moment. He's got the 2 gases, mining quite consistently from there, banking up a good amount. That's going to allow him to start up a sentry if he wants it, and also the mothership core as well, nice and early. Very important, and well, everything just going pretty solid, everything really nice. No modification to the build as of yet from Salt. He's just busy getting down his Zergling speed and also getting the drones out of the extractor to maximize his mineral income nice and quick. So when we do see things start getting a bit more aggressive from Socke, it'll be quite interesting. Remember, against the Forge Fast expansion, 2 hatch before pool isn't the optimal build. Generally you want to see the pool into a hatch and then obviously the hatch around 350 to 420 usually. So this can still work out fine. It's not absolutely terrible, but we will keep an eye on exactly what comes down next. And I don't actually believe that Socke really scouted too much. He just knows the natural is down, doesn't yet know about the third, which is really advantageous to Salt because it means that he's got the option to go a little bit by surprise. But 3 more gateways being hidden here. This is some delayed 4-gate pressure going to be coming in. Notice the positioning of it too. Hidden right at the back of the main base. This is an incredibly hard area to scout because any Overlord that tries to make its way through from either angle likely will get scouted. You could sneak one through at the very top there where it wouldn't be seen, but it's a very unusual scouting path because you're not going to run straight for there. You want to check this sort of area if you are a Zerg player for any kind of tech. So this could therefore catch Salt off guard. He's put a Spore Cooler down at each of his bases, maybe expecting either DTs or some Stargate play, but not really expecting so many gateways. But this game, and this is a modification from game 1, we see the Roach one come down. Remember, Socke is 1 game up in this best of 3 at the moment, so if he wins this, he goes on to the winner's game and potentially has an easy ride through this group. And bear in mind that he was the top finisher in the online qualifiers. That's really going to be his aim. So, nice amounts of damage being done here. Sentry just going to try and pick off this Overlord before it gets the scouting information. Mothership Core comes out. The second Sentry getting pulled as well. This is quite important, and it may be a giveaway to Salt. Hang on, why is he committing so much to hide what's coming out here? Quick check forward with the Lings at the front, trying to find anything, any indicator of what kind of tech could be coming out. Note though that these additional warp gates coming down, the additional sentries being hidden, no indicator to the Zerg that this push is coming. That means that in terms of units on the ground, there's 7 speedlings. That's all that's been seen. The rest of the units still staying back behind the initial force, but in come these Zerglings. They may get a bit of an indicator here. They might think, hang on, that's a bit few too many units. What do I need to do? Pylon is coming down. Socke putting this pylon in a very interesting position, may get some additional tech there, may be hidden. We'll keep an eye out for it. But still, we need a pylon closer if this push is going to continue. A Ling just sitting at the 3rd base location, but the 3rd now being taken here by Socke. He's completely able to make things go well because he's only got 3 gates. He's adding on some tech here, but he's got more than enough money to expand. So this is not an all-in, but Roach is only just now coming out. The sentries dealing some good damage, and, well, it's all going fairly well. A couple of Roaches are going to get trapped by some force fields. It's all looking pretty damn good. But unfortunately, the Roaches will deal very well against this army. There isn't a single Stalker in the mix, which just means the Sentries and Zealots alone will not trade effectively against this composition, even with the good force fields that Socke is throwing down. So, all in all, this is going okay. We do have just a couple more units trickling through, some Stalkers now getting added into the mix, but unfortunately Socke losing a few sentries, which is where he's going to call it quits and mass recall back. But remember, the 3rd Nexus is still coming down, and therefore he should be fine. There's nothing too much to worry about. He's got +1 done, which means his Zealots trade very well against the Lings, which do not have any upgrades currently, but Burrow and Roach Speed are coming down too. This is a very aggressive play coming down by Salt, and he's going to be trying to punish this 3rd Nexus, ideally before these cannons get in place. In terms of defense, there's not too much. A probe transfer is now on its way. Hasn't discovered yet that there are a whole ton of Roaches and Zerglings heading straight for them. And this is where suddenly Socke could be in a little bit of problems. The Roaches trying to be microed back, preventing the force fields from trapping too many of them. Wants to engage this army as a whole, if possible. A lot of Roaches zoned out of this fight, which is not ideal, unfortunately, for Salt. But for Socke, it's going very well. He's keeping this zoned out. The 2 cannons are now finished. His Mothership Core not quite got enough energy for a photon overcharge of the 3rd Nexus yet, but getting close to it. And that's where, of course, this army can get pushed back quite simply. Pylon has been discovered, which is going to just be a little bit frustrating. It won't supply block Socke, but it will be enough to actually get him pretty close to it. So if he doesn't start some more pylons soon, it could cause a bit of a problem. 3rd hatchery is also coming down. Roach is now aiming to do a little bit of damage, but a small splinter group heading up in towards the natural base could focus down the forge. Would be great if they were able to, but unfortunately a single Immortal comes out. That's going to get focus fired, but with the cannon that's leaving some really good damage. Will the Immortal fall? It'd be good if it could get sniped off. Is able to get sniped off, and all of the army has been pulled back, but is quickly repositioning down towards the 3rd. But that leaves the Roaches to deal a little bit of damage in the main base. So Zealots just happily trying to deal with these Roaches. Unfortunately, not the best engagement angle here. We've got an engagement in the center of the map as well by the Watchtower. Blink Stalkers aggressively moving forward. Roaches in the main, still dealing quite a good job, actually, picking off a good number of workers. 13 already killed. We're still only on Roach tech, though, for the Zerg player. We don't see any Hydras as of the moment. We don't see any other tech other than the Lair coming down. And in terms of upgrades, only +1 missile attack. The Roaches burrowed up in the main base. There isn't detection as of yet. There's 1 observer down, but it's with the army, and therefore won't get pulled back probably anytime soon. We may see another one come out, but the Roaches just are burrowing, healing up, and now just trying to pick off these Zealots. They should try and focus the Zealot down pretty quickly and get burrowed again. Nicely done. But simultaneously, Socke, he's moving in. He's going to try and deal a bit more here at the 3rd. Drones are being pulled, which means a loss of mining time. And ultimately, this is all looking pretty solid. The Roaches are finally getting cleaned up as a photon cannon has been made to allow the Burrow Micro to be ineffective. But once more, the Gateway Army is coming head to head with a lot of Roaches. There's an Immortal in the back, but Socke does not fancy the fight. Mass recalls out of there. back to the safety of his third. But in terms of workers killed, 15 have gone down. A 10 worker lead for Salt at the moment, but he's taking a bit of damage from a lone Zealot, which is going to get shut down, but it's going to rack up 2 kills relatively easily. But there's just so many roaches here. The immortal production is going to continue to ramp up. We're going to see more and more of them hit the field. A lot more gateway units coming down too, and the production for Socke is actually looking pretty solid. He's also got good observer placement, which just allows him to see the small splinter group of roaches move around the top. He can anticipate that, reposition his army, take them out pretty simply, and get a bit of a free win, especially while he's going with these Zealots, being warped in from the pylon down the bottom, just to be a little bit frustrating, but with good overlord placement as well. All of this is seen by SaltTheWound. He's aware of where all these Zealots are moving, and he's going to be trying to really stop too much happening. This Roach burrowed is great. It allows Salt to know when anything moves in, and without an Observer, they're going to be difficult to take out. The Observer does take some damage from the Spore Crawler, but once again, the Stalkers up on that cliff area, able to shoot down on those drones, dealing a good little chunk of damage there, nice and fast. So, Roaches pulling back. Hydras finally in the composition. Is this going to be enough though? The Hydras have good DPS, they deal well with gateway units and immortals, but are there enough of them? 15 in production now. The Roaches trying to micro back. A tentative stance being taken here by Salt. Doesn't want to overcommit. He wants to whittle down this army. He's got a better concave, but some Stalkers from the flank are doing a nice job. However, Socke losing units relatively quickly now, but the Hydra count is starting to diminish, and unfortunately the Roaches have been all but destroyed, and that means the Immortals and Stalkers able to focus down the third hatchery will get the kill, but Roaches are at the third now, dealing some good counter damage too, and with the reinforcements coming in, Socke's got to be very careful. He's got a couple of additional walk-ins, those Stalkers heading towards these Roaches, which have now reburrowed in the safety out of range of the detection from the cannons, but now the fourth is vulnerable for Salt. He's got more and more Hydras coming through. They need some more support, as well as these Lings, they need some more Roaches there too. Roaches still trying to pick off probes. In total now, 26 have been fried by these Roaches, burned by their acid, and now the Nexus is the primary target. Some Stalkers getting warped in. They need to try and work away at these Roaches if possible. A little bit of burrow micro would be good, but there's an engagement coming down, unfortunately, taking all of Salt's attention. He's desperately trying to get a good engagement against these units. Pulling the drones as well will get one of the Immortals. The second Immortal will fall too, which means the Roaches aren't going to take too much more damage. Very nicely done. And this is forcing Socke to fall back a little bit further. Unfortunately, those Roaches are now getting taken out as there is an Observer there. But bear in mind, the Spire's done. A Muta switch could occur imminently. There's a good amount of gas banked up, but not too many minerals. And that's due to the fourth, or what was the third hatchery, getting taken down. So getting that remade now, Salt is attempting to rebalance his economy and be ready to go for a big switch. But the other problem with going Mutas right now is just how many Blink Stalkers there are, and they're also 3-0, so they've got a lot of DPS. They deal with Mutas very effectively, and the Hydras just need to start whittling down this number. You've got to engage these armies and then remax on Mutalisks. That's really what Salt's long-term plan is. But he's got to whittle down this army first, and with these continual, really great force fields coming down from Socke, he's just able to zone them out and stop the army engaging. But unfortunately, those force fields are a precious resource, which he has all but extended now, and therefore the Hydra's able to start dealing some good damage. They don't want to move off creep though, they want the option to retreat, and more are getting produced. The army, Protoss force, still pushing forward. The last Immortal will go down, and the Time Warp being utilised by the Mothership Core, just trying to stop Hydras closing up the distance too easily. Blink Micro being incredibly controlled now by Socke, just allowing him to pick apart these Hydras. Does blink forward very aggressively, picking up the reinforcements as they hatch. A few more Hydras from the side there, but GG, well played, good luck. Socke will take this series 2-0.